Hi, and welcome back to Pittman's Pumpkin Patch, Pittman's Garden Patch. It's May 16th, 2015, and I'm here in the blueberries section of my garden. And I just want to talk about my blueberries for a little bit here and talk to you about and share with you my experiences and the different stages of growth that I'm seeing going on. As you can see, these particular blueberries right here are beginning to get a purple hue color to them. They're starting to turn more purple, where before they were more green. As you can see, some of the others a little bit further down there, and some of the ones like right here are green, and some are beginning to get more of a purple hue to them and whatnot. Here's a prime example right there. So as far as my experience and what I'm understanding as I observe these plants over the past couple months, is that once they get pollinated, and you know, they'll keep a green color for a little while, then they'll start to get this purple hue, and then they'll start to go to more of the blueberry color that we all know. And let me backtrack just a minute. When these early variety of blueberry plants that I have here growing blossomed, you know, and were pollinated, they began to swell within, you know, maybe a week, maybe a little less. They began to swell. So I wasn't sure when I was looking at these whether they, you know, which ones got pollinated, which ones didn't. I didn't know. You know, I was trying to gauge what kind of a harvest I was going to get this year. And so I watched over time, and sure enough, I would start to see the ones that were swelling versus the ones that were not. So the ones that didn't swell, they were just so teeny tiny, and even after a week or two, they still were so tiny, you could tell that they just were not pollinated because they weren't swelling, getting plump, whereas the other ones were. So then I was able to go around and look at the different varieties. Okay, you got pollinated, you didn't. Wow. Then I started to see, you know, well, the fruits of my labor. Now what I did was I came out here and I hand pollinated a lot of these things with an electric toothbrush, and I could see the pollen just dripping, just falling out of all of these flowers as I would vibrate the flower cluster with the electric toothbrush. And you know, and then there was only maybe 4 or so bumblebees, and there was maybe 1 honeybee, and there was a wasp, but there didn't seem to be an abundance of pollinators during the daytime. Now at night there was always these bunch of little, I don't know, mosquitoes or a bunch of other little bugs flying all around, you know, so maybe they were doing the job overnight. Maybe I was more successful with the toothbrush trick, electric toothbrush trick. I don't know. All I know is this year, finally, I have a boatload of blueberries. Now, let me just start off by saying, number one, I kept better track of the pH level. Okay? We all know blueberries like low pH. So I kept a better track of that over you know, since early fall of 2014. You know, I'd add my sulfur, I'd come back a month later, I'd check the pH, I would add some more. And I did this over all the fall and winter and everything, but I think the one main thing that really made the difference this year is, and it had nothing really probably much to do with me, is that the plants finally matured. They finally got to a mature enough age where they were going to produce a lot of flowers. So for those of you who have brand new blueberry plants, and you're told pick the blossoms off the first year or two and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine, you know, but your blueberries won't really start to put on a lot of fruit until they're about the age 5. Okay, age of 5, and that is if I'm not mistaken, that's what my plants are this year. They're in there. I've had them, this is my 3rd year with them, and I think they were already 2 to 3 years old when I got them, something along that line. So, but it's just massive how much I have this year. One plant's not really producing a whole lot. This is, I believe, the Biloxi. It's got a few blueberries on it, as you can see, but most of it is green. You know, there's hardly anything on it. Yeah, it hasn't really produced a whole lot for me, so I don't know if I would really necessarily recommend the Biloxi, but, uh, you know, looking over here, this variety, this is a dwarf variety, this is the Sunshine Blue, and let me just, as you can see, boatloads and boatloads, all of these blueberries on this bush. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? All over, and most everything on here got pollinated. I could even go down into the lower levels, and here you can see a few more growing. And see, the cool thing about this, last year this particular bush, this Sunshine Blue, did not produce one single flower at all. Nothing last year. Maybe I didn't have the pH low enough. I don't know, but it didn't produce anything. And I was all set and ready to write this plant off as a failure. You know, but this year I could tell, because I've learned a little bit about which ones are leaf clusters and which ones are flower clusters. I was able to determine that this year this thing was going to produce, you know, a boatload of flowers. And sure enough, it did. And I was also a little concerned after I came in and pollinated with the electric toothbrush and nature did its course or whatever. I was really concerned that of how much was really set, because it seemed to take a long time for this to really start to swell up. You know, I was saying that one of the ways you know a blueberry got pollinated is within about a week, you should notice that this thing has gotten bigger. That each individual blueberry is bigger than what it was when it was blossomed. You know, maybe 2 weeks later, you should notice a size difference. And you'll see the ones that didn't get pollinated, because they'll just look like, so they'll be very teeny and they'll be very tiny compared to the other ones that did get pollinated. So this one seemed to take a long time. The fruit didn't seem to swell up. It didn't, you know, start to look like it had gotten pollinated successfully. And I said to my wife, I was like, there's just no way, out of all these blossoms on there, there's no way that zero fruit was set. And apparently it just needed a little bit more time. I needed to be a little more patient. And this particular variety has put on boatloads and boatloads and boatloads of blueberries. And I can't wait to try these to see if I'm going to really like the taste. And that's another thing I'm going to do, as I've recorded the pH over time of these bushes to keep track of them. And I also typed up on a spreadsheet, you know, which, when did they blossom? When did each variety that I have bloom? So that way I could keep the plants close together so that there could be cross-pollination and increase my yields. You know, so I kept track of that. But I'm also going to keep track of the taste this year. When I taste the blueberries, I'm going to say, yes, I like this one. No, I don't like that one. I'm kind of going to describe it in little notes for myself, so that I know that in the future, when I want to go, you know, maybe expand my blueberry production, you know, I'll know which varieties I would prefer the flavor of. And, you know, I'm already observing which ones are going to be good producers and whatnot. You know, like I said, the Biloxi over here, you know, it doesn't really seem to be doing a whole lot, you know, but it gave me a little bit. We'll see, you know. Sorry, I didn't mean to get that close. But some of these things are just, like I said, just crazy with blueberries. Let me walk you through. I mean, I can't really show you all of them because it's just so much. I mean, these things are loaded down. And of course, some are, you know, bigger than others, you know. You know, one of the main things I'm doing is to make sure my water practice is better this year than it was before. So I'm keeping them watered on a regular basis, because most fruit, as you know, is mostly water. And you know, so I want to make sure that, you know, these fruits growing on here have as much success as possible. You know, so it's just crazy how much fruit I'm getting on this stuff. Look at, I mean, I keep going back to this plant. This one thing has produced so much this year. It's crazy. I know I keep using that word, sorry. I'm just so giddy with joy, and finally, you know, like I said, this is my 3rd year with them, and I got a little bit over the years, and the last couple of years, but not a whole lot. But now this year, they finally just come into maturity, and that's just how blueberries are, you know. And you know, looks like this one, you know, this particular cluster didn't get as much, or maybe some birds got to them. I saw some birds, or my wife saw some birds eating strawberries. Look at this cluster of blueberries. And you think about how much you go when you go to the store, grocery store, and you buy a little plastic bag. Sorry for the shaking. I'm moving through there, and I don't want to cause any blueberries to fall off. When you go to the grocery store and you buy the blueberries there, you know, you pay what, about $5 for like a pint or something of blueberries, you know, so you're not really getting a whole lot. And the flavor, of course, is not very good, you know, because they're not fresh. And by the time if you just get like 2 or 3 different blueberry bushes, you know, 2 or 3 different varieties for cross-pollination, and make sure that they bloom approximately at the same time, and they're, you know, they're suited for your climate, for your zone. You'll be out a little bit of money out at first, but you'll reap, you'll get that money back. And blueberries live for so long as you keep that soil down, the pH level down, and you prune and do a little bit of maintenance over the, you know, winter time. These things are going to keep going for you for quite some time. And you know, here's some right down here that are just, are smaller, but they've been pollinated. I was seeing maybe if I could find one that didn't get pollinated, so I could show you the difference. But I think most of those have maybe fallen off. But this one, I think this particular variety, most of it got pollinated a little bit later than other things, than other varieties. But you know, you're going to get that money back. You know, so if you really love blueberries, you know, and instead of spending your money on fruit that really is not that tasty at the grocery store, and you're paying $5 for a pint, or now with the increase in gas prices and whatnot, and have you noticed that the gas prices have come down a little while, but have they dropped the price of food at the grocery store? Nah, they keep it all jacked up. So yeah, go figure that one. And anyways, I'm getting on my soapbox about the politics of stuff now. But you're going to get your money back. So invest in something like this. This is an investment. This is me investing not only in my health, my family's health, but you're going to get the money that you put into it. You're going to get so much back, you know, that in 2 or 3 years. I mean, you think how much money I have on one of these plants right now, and blueberries. You know, $20 on maybe this one that's not really produced a whole lot, but a medium amount. You know, maybe I got $20, $30, $40 worth of blueberries on here. You know, you go to some of my other varieties in here that have produced a lot more, and you're maybe looking at, you know, $100 worth, maybe more, I don't know. And so grow your own, please. Grow your own fruits and vegetables. It's so therapeutic being in your garden. Every day I come home from my job, and it's a very stressful job. Those of you who know me or have heard me in my past videos, I am an elementary school teacher, and I teach first graders. And it's a tough job. You work long hours. You're dealing with a lot of situations. And, you know, so when I come home, one of the first things I do is I go into my garden, because it's my place to kind of relax and enjoy, and, you know, kind of just wind down from the day. And but here's one of the things I did this morning with a little help from the family. I want to show you this because the sun is setting. I am inside. Let's see if you guys can see this there. I hope that it shows up. I am inside my latest garden plan project. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. And that is my bird net. I built this frame. Uh-oh, what's up in there? What do you got trapped in there? I built this framing up here. It's not perfect. You know, I had some, you know, lumber lying around, and I hammered it into the ground, drove it down a couple feet, attached some elbows up there in the corners, you know, on each post, and I put together, you know, the PVC pipe and all that kind of stuff, and I ran a PVC pipe down halfway down, so, you know, for some support. Again, it's not perfect, but it's effective. And I bought this netting. This is a 28 foot by 28 foot net with a 3/8 inch mesh. Now, I bought it this small. You're thinking, well, God, why'd you buy it that small? I mean, no bird's going to be able to fit through that. You could have gone with an inch or 3/4. Well, I bought the 3/8 because I wanted the absolute smallest I could get. Plus, I wanted to see how effective this would be as a bug deterrent also. I know there are going to be some bugs that's going to get through that, but I'm thinking about my pumpkins and my squash and zucchini. If this thing might be small enough to keep those squash vine borers and the squash bugs out, then hey, I got a new weapon in the war against those bugs. And let me tell you, if you grow squash and zucchini and pumpkins and things of that nature, and you're east of the Colorado Rockies, you know squash bugs and squash vine borers. You know the damage they do to your stuff. And I've been battling those things for like 7 to 8 years now. So I'm always looking for something to win the war against them. So this is, you know, I figured I'd get the smallest. It'll keep the birds out for sure. And then, you know, I can gauge whether the bugs have been deterred, at least most bugs. And maybe try that, buy another one that, you know, different size to cover my pumpkin plants or my squash and zucchinis. And then I will, hey, maybe I might have a new weapon. And not have to buy different sprays, even if they're organic. I won't have to spend my money in that. So anyways, this is just like I'm going through my blueberry patch here. I'm just so happy about this. You know, I'm just so happy. And I got this net in just in the nick of time before the birds were really having a field day with these things. Okay, well, from Pittman's pumpkin patch, or specifically Pittman's blueberry patch. Oh, and you can see, look at the new growth. You see how not only is this thing already produced the flowers and the blueberries are growing and everything, but it's also simultaneously putting on its new growth. You can see the old growth, you know, because it has the darker leaves, and you can see the new growth because it's lighter green. Okay, so it's growing all over the place. Let me tell you, I got this, oh, right above me. This thing goes all the way up. This particular stock goes all the way up to the top. And I'm going to have to prune this back. But look at all the fruit right on this thing, this big long stem. And but I guess I'm going to have to prune this back a little bit, you know. I don't know. I hate to do that because this it's going to outgrow this net so easily. So anyways, well, from Pittman's Pumpkin Patch, Pittman's Garden Patch, signing off, and you guys have a good one. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down in the box below. Bye.